it right over here. No, you can carry it all yourself. I've been carrying it forever. Take hold right here. Just pull that. There you go. Pull that right around here. There you go. Right there. To the center. There you go. A little bit further. No, further. A little bit further. A little bit further. About a foot and 3 inches. Very good, very good. Thank you very much, sir. You may rest now. Oh dear, coming all apart here. Did you have a question there, madam?
It says on the billboard that you're an engineer.
Yes, I am. Yes, that doesn't mean I have to do physical labor, though. Coming all here out to the wilderness of Fabius and such, you know. Have you seen Mr. Wright at all?
No, I haven't. No, I have.
Benjamin Wright?
Oh, no. This is Mr. Wright. This is Mr. Wright.
Oh. No, that's not the right Wright. Well, he's supposed to be here. He asked me to meet him coming all the way out here to this godforsaken Fabius here to do some sort of surveying. Oh, by the way, I'm James Geddes. It's not easy to survey, you know. You need all your equipment and such here. Sometimes your equipment isn't working. But that right there. Let's see. Oh, I guess. Hopefully nothing happened to my compass and my journey way out here. Wright still isn't here, is he? Well, we shall just wait for him. I'm sure he'll be here momentarily. I am James Geddes, as I said. I suppose I could tell you a little bit about myself while we're waiting. The Geddes are good Scotchmen. Back in 1637, Jenny Geddes in Edinburgh at St. Giles Church started a riot when she threw a stool at Bishop Lloyd. She didn't like that he was reading from the Archbishop of Canterbury's worship book. She also was the one, see, she threw her herb stall into the fire when the monarchy was returned to Charles II. Well, we, Geddes, we came here to America. We still had a broad English accent at that time. A father had a farm near Carlisle, Pennsylvania. He was a prosperous farmer, and he did believe that all his children should have a good education. Mr. Oliver taught me mathematics, and I taught myself the languages, Greek and Latin and such. And we did have chores on the farm. One of my favorite chores was to take the oxen and plow the fields. And I would like that because, you see, when I would take a respite, I could sit under a tree and read a book. And then, as we're plowing the field, I could ponder all that I had read. The oxen knew where they were going anyhow. Well, by the time I was 18, I was a school teacher. But I wanted to broaden my horizons, so I decided to head west to Tennessee. I went with a group heading in that direction. You didn't travel alone, but on the way there we saw the remains of those who met natives on the way. Well, I made it to Tennessee, and but did not stay there. I did not care for, you see, slavery was enacted there, and I didn't feel that was right. So I went back to Carlisle, and I was tired of the chalk. I decided I wanted to try something else. And I decided, perhaps rather than chalk, salt. And I heard here in central New York that salt was being produced. So I came here and to your Lake Onondaga, and all around it, on one side there were squatters who really didn't want anyone else coming, and then there were the Onondagas, and they were very protective of their lands. But I came up with an idea. I returned to Carlisle and brought kettles and such for boiling the brine that would come out of the springs and making the salt. Now, where I wanted to produce my salt was right on Onondaga territory. So this was a bit of a problem. My friend Ephraim Webster, who had been a trader and had a trading post there for many years, was one of the first white men to come to the area. He said that, James, you'll never be able to do it. But I brought many presents to the Onondagas, things made of metal, blankets, pots, knives, such. And the natives did appreciate these gifts. But there was their law that said only Onondaga could be on this land. So they came up with a solution. Anyone know what that solution was? Very good, madam. Yes. They made me a member of their nation. I even had a name. Dada Dawane. Yes. And so we got along fine. I made my salt. But then I also wanted to do something else. Now, this whole area was just beginning to be inhabited, because you see at the bottom of the lake, it wasn't like these highlands here of Fabius. It was all very lowlands and very swampy indeed. But people were starting to settle there, and they needed their property measured and such. So I taught myself surveying. And I did quite well in surveying property for people. And surveying also led me to one of my greatest finds. Actually, I was out here in the wilderness of Fabius. And I was going about surveying, and then I heard a sound. Not like that sound, but a different kind of sound. A god-awful sound is as if demons were pulling someone into the earth. And I cautiously went to where the sound was. And there on a stump was not a demon, but a vision of loveliness. And look, I wanted to speak to this young lady standing on this stump blowing this god-awful horn. And I went up to her and I said, "Miss," and I startled her, and she dropped her horn and almost fell off the stump. Well, I managed to catch her and the horn, which she was very pleased about. And I was to learn that this was Miss Lucy Jerome, one of the first school teachers in this area, and very lovely indeed. Well, with my charm, I managed to be invited to dinner. You see, she'd been calling with the horn Father Jerome to come to eat. And I met him at a dinner. It was very, very delicious indeed. And I learned about her schoolroom, which she had to teach children who had just been released from their mother's apron strings to boys much taller than she was. Well, I knew that this was the wife for me. And after a good amount of courting, I did ask Father Jerome for her hand in marriage, and I took her away from this wilderness to the civilization of Syracuse. It wasn't even called Syracuse at that time. I could not bring my highland lass to this swamp. So we settled up in the hills of Camillus and started a farm which we called Fairmount. And, well, I learned that I made a very good choice in a wife indeed. Why, not only was she very helpful, but she kept a journal of what happened every day. Why, if I were to go to the tavern down into the village and bring scraps for the pigs, she wrote it all down. If I went to the doctor for a bloodletting, which I had to do a number of times, she wrote it all down. And in these journals, I was able to take this and send all this information in my yearly letter to my brother back in Carlisle. And she saw to the farm when I was gone surveying. I would go to Ohio and other states. Matter of fact, I had started the Genesee Road and had to leave. She saw that it was finished and made sure that the men were paid. She also, well, was a good mother. She gave birth to 7 children. Only 3 of them grew to any type of adulthood. Mary died when she was 19, just before she was to marry. And Laura was to marry Harvey Baldwin, a promising young lawyer in the area. I was a little bit concerned because, you see, he always wore these dark spectacles. He seemed to have an infirmity of the eye. But he was very intelligent indeed. Why, I could sometime see him become mayor of this village. But soon after her marriage, she was to pass on. And, well, Harvey even wrote this for her tombstone. In less than 1 revolving year, she was a maid, a bride, a corpse. Adorned with every grace and possessing every personal charm and mental excellence. In her springtime, she flew to that land where the wings of the soul unfurled, and now, like a star beyond the evening's cold den, looks radiantly down on the tears of the world. Yes, our only child to grow to adulthood and was George, who became a surveyor as I did. Now, I also started the village of Gettysburg on the west side of the lake and was its justice of the peace, and then served in Congress and the legislature. Yes, well, I was not the most wonderful farmer, but I did have my good attributes in these other activities. And then there was the greatest event of all, which I took part with Mr. Wright, which he still isn't here. Well, I'm sure he'll be here in a moment. Let me tell you a little bit about this. Now, this was the building of the Erie Canal. Now, since the early 1700s, it was thought of there should be some waterway that could connect the east and Albany to the west and Lake Erie. Well, these different ventures were started, but the federal government did not want to take part. It wasn't until Governor Clinton took position that, well, I was sent to survey the best directions for this canal to go. I was, should it go towards Lewiston or towards Oswego and such? Why, I was paid $623 for all this. But finally, we were ready to begin, and then there was the British. The War of 1812 came about, and that forlorn the possibility of this. But it became aware that it would have been very helpful to have a waterway at that time. Well, finally, in 1817, the canal was begun. Now, I, Mr. Broadhurst, and Mr. Wright were all engineers. And now, America does not have many engineers at this time, and we even had to test ourselves. Why, Mr. Wright and I decided that we went 100 miles away from each other, and then would measure towards each other with our levels and see if we could meet. Well, from that 100 miles when we came together, we were 1.5 inches off. Oh. So that did away with any doubts about our ability to do this. Yes, we were to build a canal which was 363 miles long, with 83 locks, the largest in the world. Now, it was decided this would be divided into 3 sections, from Albany to Rome, then from Rome to the Seneca River, and from the Seneca River to Lake Erie. Now, each one of us took one of these different sections. I had the most difficult from the Seneca River to Lake Erie, for there were escarpments and swamps and such. Very difficult indeed. It was decided that building was going to be started in Rome and go towards Utica. And that was started in 1817. 4th of July, the first dig of dirt was done. This was the easiest and the most would be accomplished with it. Because there were many naysayers that called it Clinton's ditch and Clinton's folly. But in 2 years, a portion of the canal had built, and you could travel that portion. And by 1825, October 25th, the canal was finished, and there was a great celebration. And it had gone through swamps, and locks were built. Why, there was a 5-step lock in Lockport just because of the escarpment there. So it was said that this canal was built with men with the least experience, for the least amount of money, in the least amount of time, and provided the most public help and was most useful to the public. So this was one of our greatest accomplishments that Mr. Wright and I took part of, and he was going to be, he is a jokester. I wonder if he is pulling a prank by bringing me all the way out here through the wilderness, here to Fabius, and he is back here. Did you hear a bird or something? Mr. Wright, is that you? Yes, ma'am, what are you doing? Yes, what are you running about like this?
Well, sir, what is it you seem to be doing here? You haven't seen any coppers, have you?
Well, I'm sure Fabius has some law enforcement. Why, young man, are you in danger? Are you in trouble?
Oh, no, not at all. I was just curious, you see. Don't let me disturb you. I'll best be on my way.
But I mean,
Pardon me.
The youth these days, I do believe they're the most uncouth things I've ever seen. Now,
Perhaps, excuse me, I should spend a bit of time with you, good folk. Now, what is it you seem to be talking about here?
Well, I am James Geddes, and I'm telling these good folks about the Erie Canal, which I helped create.
The Erie Canal!
Yes.
Oh, I know all about the Erie Canal. I worked on the Erie Canal, you know, so I should know quite a bit.
Well, that's
So,
very good.
here, I could tell you stories.
Well, I think I've told them everything that they
Come
need.
right over here, find a seat wherever you can, and I will tell you what I know about the Erie Canal. Yes, sir. I've learned a bit there. There are rogues and scalawags roaming about in the cities. You have to have a care for pickpockets and thieves. Hold your bag close, ma'am. Well, of course, you don't have to have a care about me. I possess a position. I am a hoagie. That's a fellow what tends the mules that pull the canal boats, you see. I suppose it's a job meant for me, as hoagie is the Scottish word for workers. Lowly workers. That's a fitting name for it, to be sure. Making $10 a month. Some of the lads do a bit better learning tricks of the trade from the canal roads. It's a means of surviving. Of course, I never take part in such dishonesty. Except as winter nears. You see, it's then that the canal freezes over and we hoagies be out of work. So, if you commit a wee crime and are caught, you'd be thrown in jail. Food and shelter. Well, it's better than being left out in the cold, I can tell you that. And in the spring, the judge releases the hoagies to drive the mules. I do the driving for Captain McCarthy that owns the packet boat the Calm Waters. She was a bonny piece. The captain painted her red, white, and blue. He'd stand on her deck, dressed the likes of a captain of an ocean-going vessel. The captain took me on, 2 years ago, after me da and ma passed. It just doesn't seem right that after crossing the grand ocean that they die from a fever while traveling this wee ditch. Being a hoagie is hard indeed. Having to drive the mules along the towpath for a 6-hour shift, night and day, from the opening of the canal in the spring to the closing down in the winter. Aside from his boat, his mules are the most prized possessions belonging to the captain. More than once, we've been told they're a mite more prized than us bogies. Now, you have to watch that the tow line don't get caught under another boat and pull the team into the canal to drown. Once, a time ago, when our steersman Ben was just a hoagie driving a team near Buffalo, the tow line became fouled and was about to pull all of the mules right into the water. So he quick, using all his muscles, undid the tow line. It was so tight that it snapped back and hit him right in the gut. Oh, excuse me. Knocked him flat, it did. He carries a nasty scar from it to this day. Now, you also have to watch for snakes and dogs and storms that spook the mules. Though, storms don't much bother my team. That's why they be named Thunder and Lightning. Now, mules be a bit better suited to canal work than horses. There's a mite more sure-footed and less skittish. Like, Thunder and Lightning never would overeat or partake of bad water as the likes of horseflesh would be doing. 'Tis sad, though. The poor mule cannot birth a wee one. The only way you get a mule is for a horse and a donkey to...
Yes, I believe we understand.
Yeah. Now, we hoagies are never supposed to ride the beasts while they's pulling. But at night, even it's dark enough so the captain don't see you can sneak a ride. Though, if in your cot you'd be receiving a cussing out the likes you lads and lasses never heard before. And after a time, I can even sleep while I's walking.
Now, as I was saying before we were...
Finally, after the shift be over, the boat docks and a plank is dropped from the deck to the shore. And Billy, the other hoagie, brings his team out and mine would go aboard. Now, mind you, the mules be looking forward to a rest and feeding as much as any of ye would be, so you have to take 'em by the tail and guide 'em careful like across the plank. Once on, I take 'em to their stalls at the front of the boat, and then have a bite to eat myself. After supper, I then lay down in the fresh straw under Lightning's manger. I bunk there rather than with Thunder, as true to the beast's name, he tends to be a bit gassy after eating. The sound of the mules munching away and the water lapping against the side of the boat do sing me a bonny lullaby. 'Tis a lonely task, especially driving the graveyard shift in the wee hours of the morning. And many a time you pass by a boneyard, or what we like to call a haunted level. One night, as Billy was driving his team once by a boneyard, the mules came to a dead stop at a bend before a bridge and wouldn't budge nary a step no matter what Billy tried. The captain comes ashore, but can't move 'em either. So, cursing up a storm, he stomps off ahead, the captain does, and he's seeing to what can be done about these stubborn beasts. Then he sees why they stopped. You see, there was a body hanging by the neck from the bridge up ahead. The mules wouldn't move until the poor fellow was cut down. And Billy is jumpy as a cat whenever we pass under that bridge now. Woo! You know, the captain usually leaves the keep it in line of us hoagies to old Nell, the cook, and her rolling pin. Now, Nell is a wee woman, but her rolling pin more than makes up for her size. She's a fair cook at least, and provides us hoagies with a goodly portion of grub. Now, Nell is friendly with the captain, and if she is in a mood, so is the captain. Now, Nell, on payday, she loves to gussy herself up and go into town to go shopping for a new hat or set of gloves. Oh, she loved to pretend to be one of the high society ladies of the town. Oh, it is said you can spot a canal boat cook amongst a flock of ladies. You just shout, "Low bridge!" and the first one to throw herself to the ground. That would be the cook. Now, my favorite way to pass my time, when I'm not driving or sleeping, is to listen to the many folks making their way on the calm waters. Many faces of rich and poor from all different places, telling stories of where they've been and where they's going. They rarely pay me mind. Oh, and it's a lark when Ben would call out, "Low bridge!" and everyone, be they young or old or a bit round or the finest ladies, would throw themselves onto the deck to keep from getting knocked into the canal. Now, the braver like to jump up onto the bridge, run to the other side, and then land back down onto the deck of the boat. They hope. I remember one particularly adventurous fella missed after his lady friend was pleading with him not to attempt the stunt. Well, Ben had to drag his messy self, thank you, out of the water, and soaking wet and smelling something fierce. His lady friend wouldn't speak to him for the rest of their journey. And then at night, after supper is cleared away, the stateroom is transformed into a sleeping parlor, with a large curtain hung down the middle with ladies on one side and fellas on the other. And the tables are crammed with carpet bags, valises, and belongings. And then berths are attached to the walls and hung from the ceiling, one on top of another for everyone to sleep in. Of course, you had to cross your fingers and hope that the hearty body above you did not come toppling down on top of you overnight. And in the dog days, it was more than a bit warm in there, and filled with aromas and sounds far from pleasant. Now me, I'd sooner be sharing a stall with thunder. You know, I always thought that someday I wouldn't have to be sleeping with the mules. Someday I would own my own boat. I would be the captain. Well, I've kept up enough of your time. You can get right back to whatever it was you were talking about. I'll be on. Oh, goodness. What are you doing? Get your hands out.
Aha!
Excuse you, sir. That is my property. With the nerve of some people.
Aha!
Oh.
Yes, indeed, young
Get
sir.
there.
We will find the authorities here in Fabius, and we will go and
You
see
really
them.
don't have to do that. I'll do anything you want.
Yes.
Almost anything.
Well, you say you're a hoagie? Well, then what are you doing out here in Fabius, miles away from the canal?
Well, you do know that it's February, sir.
Yes.
The canal will be frozen over. And I heard that Fabius is such an up-and-coming place. Perfect for an enterprising fella such as myself, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Enterprising indeed. Well, perhaps Mr. Wright is not here, and I'm supposed to do some surveying. You shall be my assistant. Now, what is your name?
Well, my name is McFadden. My friends call me Mac.
Well, Mac.
You can call me McFadden.
Well then, McFadden, take my cane and put it to the ground right next to that metal structure over there.
This thing? Well, this here.
Yes, right there. Put it to the ground there.
Put it on the ground.
No. I need to be able to see it. Hold the cane to the ground.
Oh, stand it up. Like, you have to be clearer. So.
A little bit more to your left.
To my left.
No, your other left.
That, you mean my right?
2 more inches. Yes, that is it. Yes. 10 degrees southwest. Now, I'll get to retrieve the Geddes chain from the box there, please.
The canter's chain, you said?
Yeah.
What is the... Oh, my goodness, what is this? This is the only chain I see in here.
Well, yes, that's the Geddes chain. Now, bring one end of it over here.
I'm going to catch something touching this.
Right, now give me one. You go ahead. Now, take it to where you mark the spot with the cane.
All right, here we are.
Now, this will tell us the distance. Ma'am, could you come and count the links, please? Hold it tight there, McFadden.
Doing my best, sir.
Don't let it droop for the lady.
31.
31. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you. McFadden, do put that down. Let's see. 31. That
I can tell you
is
to wash your hands, you know this
plus,
problem.
198.06 feet. Now, the Geddes chain. That's what we use to measure distances as we measured our canal, the whole 363 miles of it. And, well, in the early days, the canal was 40 feet wide at the top, 28 feet wide at the bottom, and 4 feet deep.
4 feet deep? Only? Well, when I was working on the canal, it was 7 feet deep.
Yes, but I do believe you were working on it a bit later. You see, they expanded the size of it because so many canal boats were on it. Like 4 feet, you would have to stand on your toes to keep your nose above the water level. Yes. And there were all sorts of boats on the canal. Why, there were hurry-up boats that would go and repair holes and such. Muskrats would make holes in the canal. The packet boats, which would carry passengers. The freighters that would carry freight, and the line boats which carried both passengers and freight.
You know, I once saw a boat that was chock full of books that you could take away and read. Of course, you had to take them back once you're done.
A library canal boat.
Oh, and that's okay if you like that sort of thing. Oh, and then there are boats filled with those actor types. Oh, they're a silly lot indeed. Their boats would stop along the canal and they'd perform pretend stories for people to watch.
Theater canal boats.
Right. And then there are those boats that are filled with strange things and old stuff that people have to pay to look at. What did those?
Oh, a museum canal boats.
Oh, well, you know, I think I did see one of those museum canal boats dragging what I believe was a real live dead whale fish. Oh, it was enormous, and it smelled terrible. It smelled like thunder.
Yes, indeed. But one thing that all canal boats had in common was a crew to take it on its way. And perhaps we could introduce you to a crew here. Now, perhaps, yes. Sir, could you come up here? Our captain of the canal boat, right up here. We need things for our canal boat captain. Right here, sir. Right over here.
Now this hat, I can
Here's
take
your
that.
hat, sir, and your telescope, so you can look for objects in the water here. And we have a canal boat. Is canal boat. Now, the captains would paint their canal boats all bright colors to attract customers, and then they would give them exotic names such as Lion of Buffalo, the Seneca Chief, Cleopatra's Barge. Sir, does your boat have a name?
Yes.
What is it?
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful, yes indeed. Up and down the canal. Yes. Did you get any leaks and spurt water every now and then?
Rarely.
Rarely, yes. Now, the captain here, his job would be to drive his canal boat and often would carry cargo. That's why the canal was built, to carry especially salt. So, salt producers would pay the captain money right here. There you go. And then he would come to the waylock building and he'd have to pay the money out to the weighmaster. Now, they would have to decide how much to pay. Now, what would happen is the canal boat would come into a sort of sling or a hammock at the waylock building. And then the water would be let out. Now, the weighmaster would know the weight of the empty boat. And the weight would be taken of the boat in the sling, and then the weight of the cargo in the boat would be taken, and then the weight of the boat subtracted, and what would be left would be the weight of the cargo, which the captain would be charged for. And so you want to carry a lot of cargo on there, so you make some money. Yes, sir. Yes. So you just hold on. You don't have to hold it up now, all right? But you are going to be our captain here. Now, the next important person on the canal boat is the steersman. And let's see, our steersman. Sir, would you be our steersman right here? Come right here. And Captain, we're going to say the boat's right here. You're right in the front of the boat. Our steersman's coming here to the back of the boat.
Steersman's hat, sir.
Steersman's hat. Very, very fine hat. There you go, sir. And I think the steersman.
Something to steer.
Rudder. There's your rudder, sir. Sir, could you show us how you operate your rudder there? You're in the back of the boat there. Yes. He knows. Well, should just show us how you do your rudder. No, you have it like this. There you go. Steering the boat. Yes, yes. Away from obstacles, perhaps branches, other canal boats, a dead floating mule, all those sorts of things. Now, being the steersman or helmsman would be very difficult because you'd have to be out there all the time. You'd have to steer the canal boat into the lock without hitting the sides. And well, now, if the rudder were to be caught in something, it may turn and throw you right into the canal. Would you like that?
No.
No. Later, the steersmen were able to steer with a wheel, which you think would be much better. But if the rudder down below became stuck again and the wheel turned and your hand was there, it could break your wrist. So we need a very tough and hardy man to be able to do this. Also, the captain would hire steersmen that were strong and brawny, because often there were fights on the canal, and he definitely wanted to have someone to watch his back there. Yes. So very good. And now the next person on the canal boat is the canal boat cook. Could you come up here? Right up. Actually, Captain, could you come back over on this side? We're going to put our boat all the way over. Just step back here. You're at the back of the boat. And Captain, you're right here. And our canal boat cook right here. We have some accoutrements for our canal boat cook. Oh, a lovely apron. Yes, indeed. Very good indeed. And do we have anything else? Yes. Now, you see, in the canal stories, the canal boat cook always had bright red hair. And so does our canal boat cook. Very lovely, right here next to the captain. Yes. And also, in the stories, our cook was always named Sal for some reason. Oh, that's much better. You're not only a hoagie, you're a hairdresser at the same time.
Oh, you are.
Yes,
I have many talents, you see.
Now, Is there anything else for our canal?
Oh my goodness, well, this is a bit notorious here.
Ah, yes. Now she'd use this for making
careful.
Now, one of the stories that involves a canal boat cook also involves Captain John Darling, who's legendary at the canal. Well, often when the mules were tired, he would pull the canal boat. He won every brawl that he was in. He was a very, very good captain. And he had a canal boat cook named Sal. Yes, Sal.
Oh, the boat.
No, you.
You are Sal.
You are Sal.
I thought that was the mule.
That's in songs, in the stories. Sometimes it well, to tell the truth, Sal and the captain were sweet on one another. However, there was one time that Sal tried a new recipe called Erie Canal Surprise. And the captain took one bite of it and said, "Sal, what'd you do? Drug this up from the bottom of the canal?" Well, Sal wasn't too happy about that. So she decided to teach him a lesson. No, she didn't hit him with the rope. No, because then there would be no one steering or in charge of the canal boat, yes. Yeah. But, you see, Sal was, well, you can tell, she was very popular with all the canalers. And she decided, the older canalers of legal age, she decided to have a fishing contest. And whoever caught the most fish, she would give her hand in marriage. Well, all the canalers were very excited about this, and they ran to their favorite fishing spots. Now, as did Captain Darling. Now, Sal knew that, actually, Captain Darling was the best fisherman on the canal. And they had 12 hours for this contest. Whoever caught the most fish, they would marry lovely Sal. Well, in the 11th hour, she went to the secret spot that Captain Darling had, and there he was, sitting in his dinghy with no fish at all. And Sal was very worried because she had given a word that she would marry whoever caught the most fish. Then she got an idea. She took off her hat. She took a deep breath, and she stuck her head in the waters. Well, with all that bright red hair flowing in the waters, it scared the fish, and they all started leaping up. And when the clock struck 12, Captain Darling had 136 fish in his boat, more than any other canal. And, well, Sal and the captain married, and they honeymooned in Niagara Falls. And that's the story of Captain Darling and Sal. So we have our helmsman, steersman here, we have our captain, we have our cook. Now, not all the crew was aboard the boat all the time. No, indeed. Why? We also had the hoagie. Sir, could you come over here and be our hoagie?
Beg your pardon.
Could you be our hoagie here, sir? Vibrant young man. Here's your hoagie hat right here. Right here. Now you are on the towpath, not the boat right here, all right? And the hoagie, just be patient. Now the hoagie would have the reins here in his hand. And here's one of the reins, all right? And here's the other side over here. And he would be on the towpath here. And could you just hold these for a second? Just like this. There. Yeah, just hold it like this. And now like this. And just hold this like this. And now we have the power of the canal right here. You have a nose.
What do you want me to do with this?
Put it on. Our canal mule. Now the mule and the hoagie were partners. Now one of the stories about the hoagies was the people of Syracuse felt sorry because most of the hoagies were orphans. And, well, during the winter they had no home. So the good people of Syracuse went around throughout the city looking for homes for these boys, these poor lost boys. And they found homes for them. Now the authorities were not pleased with this because early on, before they had homes, all the mischief and trouble took place on a narrow strip on either side of the canal. Now with the boys all across the city, all of a sudden, all this mischief and doings were taking place, and they could not keep track of it. So that was the hoagies. And the mule, well, some places they would put steps into the canal just in case the mule fell in and supposedly smart enough to walk up the steps and back onto the towpath. So we have our mule there. Now the mule was also, hold on to this. There you go. Put that right in your hoof there. Okay? And, oh, this goes in your mouth, all right? No! And this is the tow line, which is connected to the boat. Perhaps the captain can hold it with all his other things there. All right? And just close this up here. And now we're going to, let's put the captain in the front of the boat. Could you just change places? You can put your hat back on. It was very lovely. All right. And now we need the captain to look through there. Is the way clear? All right.
Hi, sir.
All right. So now call out mule ho.
Mule ho!
What did you call me?
Give the mule a little whip on his back end with the reins there. And let's see this canal boat move. All right? All right? Get him going there. Get that mule moving. There you go. Very good. And the canal, and we have in the back, steering the rudder there. Right. Captain, take your boat over that direction. All right, we have a demonstration on how the canal boat goes down. Don't let it fall apart. Very good. Now, is New York State flat? Does anyone know? No. There are high areas and low areas. What do you call a high area where there's water and it goes to a low area? Waterfalls. Yes. Now, can a canal boat go up a waterfalls? Can it go down a waterfalls? Yes, but that would not be too pleasant at all. So, and along with waterfalls, there were rapids and such. And to deal with these things along the canal, we had locks built. And we are going to create a human lock right here in this place. Yes, sir, could you come over here, please? And I just need you to stand right here with your hands like that. Right there. Very good. That's one part of our lock. And then, could you come and stand over here with the other gate of the lock over here? Could you come up here, please? Thank you. And, ma'am, could you come over here and be part of it? No, come this way. I'm sorry. Like this. There you go. No. You can turn your back. Friendly lock. Yes, madam, could you come up here, please? And be part of our lock. All right. Ma'am, would you come up here and be part of our lock?
Sure.
Very good. Yes? Yes, no. I can't build a lock unless I have some wood to do it with here. All right? Could you stand as that gentleman is right there over here? All right? Let's move this back. All right. And for the lock, we need one more part. Yes, ma'am, would you come over here, please? And just face one another. We have the gates for our lock. And now we need our lock keeper. And would you get our lock keeper, please? Our lock keeper is on shore back here, right over here. All right, do we Ready for we're going down the canal and come on to the lock?
All right,
Follow the
that's bad.
mule. Follow the
All right.
mule.
We got to turn back toward the lock here.
Now, we're going to say that this is on a high level. The water is higher here, and it's coming towards the lock, and the captain calls, "Lock ho!"
Lock ho!
All right, the lockkeeper hears that, and he opens the gates over here. Open those. You just use the lever right here. Use this lever right here. Because you're in the middle of the canal right now. You know what I mean. And open the gate opens, and the mule and the hoagie go on the towpath right next to it, but the canal boat goes right in between the lock gates. Actually, you drop the rope.
Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Go right through there. Go right into the middle. All right, get the whole boat in there. Make sure you get the steersman in there, or else you're going to be in trouble. Right there. Get him in there. We have to fill the lock. We're rebuilding the lock. Okay. All right, and now our lockkeeper will shut the lock gates. Gates are locked, and then the lockkeeper is going to open the sluice to let water out. Right, the sluice is open. The water's going down. What's going to happen to the canal boat? Go down. 4 feet would be. All right. And when it's at the right level, then the lockkeeper opens the other gates. No, other gate. We're going to let it out now. And the canal boat continues down on the lower level at the correct height. And there, ladies and gentlemen, you do not often see a human lock at work, but here is one. Give a round of applause. And in fact, if you would
Take that back.
gather up some of the accoutrements there. Thank you, Captain. Good, you got us through that. Very good steersman. No, you can't wear the apron. There we go. And the hair. No, you can't wear the red hair. There you go, sir. You can have that right there. Thank you very, very much. And we'll go all back inside. I will tell the folks about what happened. Now, October 25th, 1825, the canal was finished, and it was the largest canal in the world, 363 miles. And a great celebration was had. Nothing in America had ever been greater this way, even in Europe. Well, so Governor Clinton led a flotilla of boats, the first one being the Seneca Chief, from Buffalo and traveled towards Albany and then New York City. In this flotilla, there were very important officials. There was a menagerie of all types of animals and such from the West. There were products, potash from Detroit, wheat from Michigan, all sorts of maple syrup, wood, cedar. Everything was traveling down the canal at about 4 miles an hour, very fast speed. And when they would come to a certain area every 3 miles, like the canal boat would signal a cannon to be fired. In the villages and the towns, they would stop and there would be speeches and dinners and such. And when the canal boat reached Albany, then it went down the Hudson River. And when it reached New York City, there were boats and ships of every type in the bay. And they did formations and maneuvers, and fireworks were fired. And there were containers of water from all the great rivers in the world. The Amazon, the Seine, the Mississippi, the Nile, and they were all poured into the Atlantic Ocean, along with 2 barrels of water from Lake Erie. And now all the waters of the world were connected. And this was called the Wedding of the Waters. And even a song was written for it, the Wedding of the Waters.
I know a song about the Erie Canal.
Yes, but not in front of ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, sure, I know it, and I'm sure all of you know it. It's called 15 Miles on the Erie Canal. You know that song, right? Would you like to hear the song?
Yes.
Oh, Chris, yeah, you want to hear that? I could sing it for you. They seem pretty excited about it, I think.
I am also.
All right, here I go. I have a mule and her name is Sal, 15 miles on the Erie Canal. She's a good old worker and a good old pal, 15 miles on the Erie Canal. We've hauled some barges in our day, filled with lumber, coal and hay, and we know every step of the way, from Albany to Buffalo. Low bridge, everybody down. Low bridge, cause we're coming to a town, and you'll always know your neighbor, you'll always know your pal, if you've ever navigated on the Erie Canal. Everyone, 15 miles on the Erie Canal. Wonderful,
Now, howling was not the only pastime of the canalers, no. Why, captains were very intelligent. They'd often have philosophical meetings and about politics and such. The cooks would often serve tea to one another and such like this and discuss what's going on in the canal. All those kinds of important kinds of things were.
You know, but what they really liked was brawling. Captains chose their canal boat crews based on their fighting skills, you see. Oh, and they also loved racing. Their boats, horses, grasshoppers, bed bugs. But my favorite was the caterpillar races. You see, you place two caterpillars at the center of a table facing opposite directions, and then place a napkin ring around them to hold them in place. After that, you draw a chalk outline that's 3 feet wide around them. Then, after everything's set up, you lift the napkin ring and poke them with knitting needles to get them moving on their way. And the first caterpillar to cross the line is the winner. In fact, there was a famous racing caterpillar named the Red Peril, who was the fastest caterpillar in 7 counties. And there was a famous race when he was going up against the Demon of Rome. And it was such a breakneck speed race that when the Red Peril finally crossed the finish line, he won, but then he up and died.
Really?
Oh, yes, sir. I won myself a good 2 bits in that race. And now, greased pig catching and greased pole climbing are also a grand time on the canal. Except when you get all
Greasy?
you sure do. You ever caught yourself a greased pig, Mr. Geddes?
No, I don't think I have.
I'm sure you would enjoy it. No, eating is also big with us canalers. You could have flapjack or pie eating contests. Now, you could have your pie wet or dry, depending on whether you had something to drink. And the crust could be hard or soft, depending on the filling. Now, I remember that I ate so much gooseberry pie once that I was leaning over the side of the boat, hurling.
Yes. Perhaps we should speak of something a little bit more intellectual.
Everywhere.
Yes, I'm sure you did. Now, the canalers had their own type of language, which I like to call canalese. And there is an amusement that I'm thinking of. But first of all, I have to ask a question. Who remembers how long I said the canal was? Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
363.
You are our contestant for Who Wants to Be an Erie Canaler? Step right up here, man. You will find this most amusing and enthralling. Now, as I said, the canalers have their own type of language, canalese, and there are certain phrases and words that perhaps we civilians would not know. I have a number of them right here. And I am going to read you a phrase or word and give you 4 choices. You are to choose which is the correct definition of this word. But do not fear. There is help. Now, you can use each one of these assistants. You could pole the towpath, and we have the audience vote, and you can decide whether to agree with them or not. You throw one into the waste weir. That would mean one of the answers would be done away with, or you can get it straight from the horse's mouth. You can ask McFadden for a clue, but be wary about that.
I'll never steer you wrong.
And your name?
Ellen.
Ellen. All right, our contestant Ellen here. Our first word is, what is a long-eared robin? Is it A, type of bird found on the towpath? B, a canal passenger with poor table manners? C, a canal mule? D, a sidekick to a Cape Canal crime fighter? Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to use any of your assistants, or do you want to try it on your own?
I think it's C.
Okay. You think it's C, a canal mule. Final answer?
Yes.
And the correct answer is a mule! Congratulations.
You got it right. My favorite part.
You are on a winning streak.
One for one.
Our next word or phrase is, what is a ship-shaped macaroni? A well-dressed canal boat captain? B, a pasta used in making the delicacy Erie Canal surprise. We all know about that, don't we? C, a handmade anchor used by canal boats? Or D, an instrument canalers use for romantic serenades? Now you still have your 3 lifelines. Would it be one of those?
We'll poll the audience.
You think you trust them? All right, please raise your hand when I read what you think is the correct definition of a ship-shaped macaroni. A well-dressed canal boat captain. All right, this is important to Ellen, raise it nice and high. B, a pasta used in making the delicacy Erie Canal surprise. We have chefs here. C, a handmade anchor used by canal boats. D, an instrument canalers use for romantic serenades. No romantics here. A one over the elbow. Yes. So you've seen what the audience has put forth. So talk it out, Alan. What do you think you want?
I think it's the anchor.
You think it's the anchor. C, a handmade anchor used by canal boats. There were a couple of the audience who said that. Final answer, Ellen. And the correct answer is a well-dressed canal boat captain. Oh, 1 for 1. But don't worry, there are 2 more. You can redo this. Our next word, this is a word, is doxy. Is it A, a canal boat cook? B, a glue for repairing canal boats? C, a small 3-legged canal dog? Or D, a type of canal seasickness? Now you have 2 tow lines left. You can have one of these thrown in the waste weir, or you get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Oh, you waited
From the horse's
I'm
mouth.
glad you trust me.
All
You're so kind.
right, McFadden, give a clue.
Well, I believe the last time I called a doxy a dog, I got a rolling pin right across the face. Got thrown right into the canal.
All
Interpret that
right.
how you will.
So is it A, a canal boat cook, B, a glue for repairing canal boats, C, a small 3-legged canal dog, D, a type of canal seasickness? From that very clear clue that was given to you by the host.
Must be the cook.
A, the cook, final answer?
Yes.
And the answer is
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
a canal boat cook. I really wish you wouldn't get them right so much. All right, 1 more. Our next word, or words, is foo-foo. Is it A, a breakfast pastry served on canal boats? B, B, a greeting called out between captains. C, a small rabbit that dug holes on the canal towpath. Or D, an immigrant or foreign canal worker. Now you have one tow line left, which is throwing one of these wonderful answers into the waste weir. Or do you want to just,
We'll just guess.
we'll just guess.
Oh, she's adventurous.
I know.
It's a foreign worker on the canal.
Final answer?
Yes.
And the correct answer is
Immigrant!
and what was the score?
Congratulations. It is 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. And what does she win?
She wins one of these.
Oh, a seal of the central city with a canal boat on it and the salt works. And this important seal can also be used as a coaster. There you go. A round of applause for your triumph on the canal. Yes, indeed. Well,
Wasn't that fun?
I do wonder where Mr. Wright is. Maybe he put that in there.
I did.
Maybe he lost his spectacles and went right past Fabius without even knowing it.
Oh, did you say that this Mr. Wright has glasses, spectacles?
Eyeglasses, spectacles. Yes, he's very hard of seeing, and I'm wondering if he missed town altogether.
You know, there was a spectacled fella that was wandering around looking for some fella named James, and he was handing out these notes to give to him.
Well, what's the note say?
Oh, well, I kept it in my chute for safekeeping. Ooh. There you go. A little wet.
To say the least. Dear Mr. Geddes, please meet me in front of Fabius's ever-popular Anna's Country Store. Sincerely, your colleague, Mr. Benjamin Wright. Well, that's where he must be. We should get to Anna's store because, well, Mr. Wright fancies himself a bit of a ladies' man and perhaps should rescue Miss Anna there. Yes, pack these things up.
This mess.
Yes. Bring it along. Hurry, McFadden. Hurry. Anna's store. Which direction is that? East. Hurry up, McFadden.
Oh, sure, I'll be right behind you. Yes. Okay, I'm going to be this way.
Oh no! Officer, no! We have not seen any troublemakers. Why, I am just here with my assistant McFadden. If we see any scoundrels, I'm sure I will let you know.
I'm coming, boss! Geddes has a mule and his name is Mac. 15 miles on the Erie Canal.
Thank you. Well, yes, it probably could. Thank you very much.
You were probably wondering who these men really are. And one of them is Scott Peal.
That's me.
That's you. And the other one is Jesse Nova.
Nava.
Jesse Nava and Scott Peal.
And I am the educational coordinator at the Onondaga Historical Association, and Jesse's an actor that we hire for many of our programs that we do, like our Ghost Walk and school programs and this kind of thing. So, thank you.
Excellent. Got some great refreshments coming up, so hang around. They weren't made by these two guys.